Ignite your acting career.
Hey, what's up? This is Frank Faucette, host of the Ignite Your Acting Career podcast. I want to thank you for joining me. Today, we've got a very special guest, Dane Reis. Is that correct?
That's it, yeah.
All right, Dane Reis. Dane is the creator and host of the podcast, You Booked It, the #1 resource where you learn how to create a successful entertainment career from the entertainment professionals who are doing it right now. For the past 17 years, Dane has entertained audiences and entertainers to adapt to the growing competition and virtualization of our industry so they can create long-term and successful entertainment careers. Dane, welcome. Welcome to Ignite Your Acting Career.
Hey, thank you, Frank. Thanks for having me. It's good to be here.
You're in Australia right now, which is great.
Yeah, I'm speaking to you from the future, man. This is good.
Right. We had to set this up in a time warp where I'm on one day and you're on another day because of the time
Exactly
zone.
right.
That's awesome. You know, I love Back to the Future, so.
Yeah.
But great, Dane. So, Dane, like I say, this thing is kind of like inside the actor studio. So I'd like to start with a question. How did you get started in your entertainment career?
Yeah, for sure. So maybe a bit unique because a lot of people tend to find it early in life, especially in the singing acting side of things. But not me. I was 17 and a half years old when I started performing, actually, or even not performing, just kind of starting to learn how the heck to do it, right? Up until that point, I'm basically your classic Glee / High School Musical story. I was a jock. I played football and baseball primarily, but then literally, over the course of only a few months, I got injured out of both football and baseball. I got concussed out of football, and I would have needed elbow surgery if I kept playing baseball. And then up until that point in my life, I had something always going on, extracurricular, right? And then I had nothing. So I was super bored, had nothing to do. And one of my sister's friends was over one day. She was a dancer. And she goes, "Hey, we need a guy to lift some girls in this Christmas show. You want to do it?" And literally that's how it started. And then that kind of snowballed. I went to class. I remember the first time I went in and they gave me my costume. They handed me a white ballet tights and a white dance belt. I'm like, what the heck is this dance belt thing? Put it on incorrectly, but we figured that out eventually. But that's pretty much it. They just kicked it off that way. The first day I had my costumes, they just gave me ballet tights, a white dance belt. I had no idea what I was looking at. This funny jockstrap looking thing. Didn't put it on correctly, but figured that out eventually. And that just kind of snowballed everything. So on I went. That led into me wanting to do more. So I got involved with drama in high school, and they were doing a musical. And they said, "Hey, you should learn how to sing." So I said, "All right, I guess I'll join the choir." And then turns out I could sing, and I got accepted into some prestigious choirs, started getting involved with community theater. Then I started mascotting at the University of Montana, and then things just kind of kept going from there and there and there.
Yeah, what city were you in originally? Where'd you grow up?
Missoula. Yeah, Missoula, Montana. So
smallish
place.
Wow.
Yeah.
Great, man. That's great. So that's interesting. I mean, I have a similar story because I played football all through Boys and Girls Club all the way up into high school. And somewhere along the line, I decided, I was like, you know what? I don't know if I'm going to make it to the NFL. And I keep getting injured, ankles for me, playing basketball. And my mother said, you need to make a choice. What do you want to do? So we moved to Virginia, and they had a theater program. So I did The Music Man. So yes, fellow musical theater and arms. But actually, I didn't have to sing in mine. So
there you go.
I was Charlie Cowell. See, that's great. So then, after moving along from Missoula, I assume you found a passion in acting in that high school. So what happened next?
Yeah, so it's exactly right. So I realized, one, I'm really enjoying this. And then two, I'm kind of good at it. So I just kind of kept going with that, right? Like I said, I got involved in some community theater. When I went to university, my plan always through high school, everything was to go into medicine, actually. And then I got to university and I said, I'll just double major in this new voice thing because that's kind of fun. And then medicine, and turns out you can't really do that because they're both really intense.
I know
majors. So I was like, I said, my passion, it's more towards this music thing, the arts thing. So I did that. So I became a vocal performance major first at the University of Montana, more opera, classic stuff. But yeah, I also got booked as the mascot of the university, which is really cool because regularly I got to perform in front of like 22,000 plus people in the football games on a motorcycle and smoke. And that was awesome. Traveled around the Northwest. And I actually won the Capital One National Mascot of the Year award. So I was voted the best collegiate mascot in the United States. And then mascotting and suit work is kind of like popped up randomly through my career. I've created a few other characters, but that happened. And then I thought, I want to actually do this properly instead of just voice, do the theater, do the dancing, because I was doing all that at the same time, right? But I wanted better training. So then I auditioned for a bunch of schools and I got accepted into the Boston Conservatory. And then off to the Boston Conservatory I went and did 3 more years there, graduated there, moved to New York, started working in shows, booked a contract where I met my wife, and then we've just been together, been all over the world. And then the last 7.5 years, we were in Vegas and performing. I performed in 9-ish shows on the Strip and lots of other stuff outside of there. Most of them are all closed at this point because that's the way Vegas works.
Gosh. But it was like a traditional musical?
Lots of production shows and some musicals. So I did a show the first show I ever did was a show called Dancing Queen. It was like an ABBA kind of disco review. Look, it wasn't winning any Tony Awards, right? But it was super entertaining and it fit the bill for exactly what it's trying to serve. Very entertaining. People were up on their feet, dancing at the end, go out, have a good time. I had performed in Jubilee, which was the longest running showgirl show in the United States. Unfortunately, that closed a handful of years ago. My wife and I got to do that show together, actually. So that was really cool. And then I was on a show called Pinup at the Stratosphere, which was amazing. It was physically the most difficult show I've ever done in my entire life. It was me and 5 girls. And then one of the last shows I was in was Baz, originally produced by For the Record in LA, but then they moved it to Las Vegas, and then the Palazzo and Venetian Palazzo purchased the show, and it was an amazing, full equity production. Amazing. It told the story of, Baz Luhrmann. He told the Great Gatsby, Romeo and Juliet, and the Moulin Rouge love stories. All 3 of them in the same world, but it was like this cool, like 1920s steampunk world with top hats and skinny jeans and tails, and it was a cool show. It was way cool.
Yeah, that's the thing. They don't spare any expense in Vegas too, because they've got the money to spend.
Man.
And you guys,
that is the cool thing about Vegas.
Yeah, man, that's great. That's great. So you did that for how many years? Like,
we were in Vegas for 7.5 years, and then. Yeah, just did loads of different shows. And then that was also a hub, right? Vegas is brilliant, I think, in that sense that it's easy to get in and out of, and it's loads of direct flights everywhere. So it's a great place to.
It's a 3-hour drive from LA. Yeah, you're right there.
Exactly. You can get anywhere there. So, you can get direct flights to London from there. It's really good. So we're able to do a lot of gigs, outside of there. I did some shows in Germany and Italy. I sang with the Ottawa Philharmonic and like all sorts of stuff. So it's a great hub.
No, that's great. That's great. Okay, that's cool. That's cool. And then so from there, you transition into podcast host. Tell us about exactly.
That. Well, COVID hit, right? So the last year or so of our lives.
So you're a different podcast host. I feel like a slacker around you. You made about 200 episodes in the time I've made 7. So, but my audience is used to this frequency, this clip. But we're getting better. But so you came out the gate smoking, right?
Yeah, I hit it hard. I was doing 7 days a week for about 6 or 7 months, and then in that time, my wife and I, we had moved down to Australia. My wife's Australian, so moved down here. It was always kind of in the cards that we wanted to come down here. We've got a little 4-year-old girl, and we wanted to go to school and be here about that time when she's going to school and stuff like that. But COVID certainly sped up the timeline by about a couple of years. So still super grateful to be here, and it is what it is. It's just, the stars align and you just got to make the decision. So did that. But yeah, then the pace of my output started slowing down, getting close to the end of 2020. Work started coming back, and things like that. So you don't have as much time to do that. Plus, it started developing into more of a community, and I started expanding on what the podcast is. So those things, of course, also take energy and they take time. And that's what I did. I started dividing up my time amongst the greater you booked it thing.
So and did it start off as a podcast? Because I know a lot of podcasters kind of backdoored from Instagram Live, just like having conversations, and they were like, "Why don't I just make a podcast out of this?"
Right? No, I just went straight to the podcast thing. I like the idea of podcasts versus like IG Live or something like that. IG Live's cool, but I am a big proponent of owning my content and controlling my content. So I love social media and I like to leverage it, and it's good, but I don't want to put all my eggs into a basket of someone else who writes the rules.
How about you explain that to our audience? Because this is kind of what we talk about. This is where we get nitty and gritty. The content ownership that you give up posting on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, you name it. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, social media, they're all private companies, right? So they can do whatever they want. The catch, of course, is that is where all the eyeballs are. That's where everyone is hanging out. So you got to find out what your niche is. And especially when I first started the podcast, I hit it hard. I hit all the platforms, posting all over the place. And then I think it's also important on this regard, as far as where to post, that you figure out, okay, where is your audience? Who are the people? So, I'm posting all over the place, Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, everything, right? And you kind of see what gets bites and what gets a little bit of attention. And it became very clear my podcast on LinkedIn was like, man, it's not the audience. You know what I mean? And that's cool. So
hey, LinkedIn is an underutilized source.
I think no. If you're gonna do some business stuff, I've done loads of things on LinkedIn. There's definitely a brilliant place for LinkedIn, but as far as like a listenership and things like that, it wasn't really where my audience was living. It was more on Instagram and things like this, and trying to transition more into the TikTok world and things like this. But it's trying to figure out, one, where your audience really exists in the social media world. But you have to utilize them. But I think it's always so important to have other means of people to reach out to you, things that you own and you control. Like my podcast, I own the hosting of it. Like the content's mine, and I can determine where it gets distributed to. In a way, the podcasts work, where they just do RSS feeds versus you uploading the actual content. It's good. Makes you have control. That's also why I have websites, because even though it's less likely that someone's going to just organically search my website, it's still a hub that people can find, and I can control exactly how that looks. It's ad-free, and I can control the experience, so I can ensure that I'm portraying and giving what I want to be perceived, versus a social media platform just completely changing the rules on you. I mean, we've seen handful of years ago, it was Facebook pages, business pages, I should say, which you need to have if you want any kind of serious analytics on your content, right? So they Facebook completely took away the ability to have really any organic reach on them. They have almost none now, unless you're going to pay them. You got to pay ads if you want people to
retune the algorithm.
So you don't get organic. And same thing with Instagram. Instagram, it's very much more of a pay-to-play platform. Like literally, if you look at anybody that has, for the most part, except for some random viral people, anyone that's got like 30, 50, 100,000, 200,000 followers, they got those years ago.
Yes.
And their growth on their accounts has been very, very slow, almost stagnant.
You hear that, actors? Don't get upset that you don't have that huge following that you don't.
Because it's impossible. It's impossible to get.
Right.
Yeah. It's impossible to get what used to happen unless I interviewed a guy named Michael Judson Berry.
Ways. Yeah.
Yeah. There are ways you can do it, but even those, they're more difficult now. And like a Michael Judson Berry, I don't know if you know who he is. He does a whole parody of Schitt's Creek, of Moira Rose. It's very funny.
Really?
But he's hilarious. But he's
Schitt's Creek is a parody. It's a parody itself.
Yeah, but he's exploded on the internet, right? And on social media. But he's an outlier. He's had an account that's grown exponentially, but most people just aren't that. And TikTok right now, people are exploding. But what you have to realize is that when a social media platform comes out and it's new to the scene, like TikTok, they open up the floodgates of organic reach because they need people to use the platform. They also know that it's going to give everyone this giant dopamine kick to see followers just racking up. I 100% guarantee the speed at which people can get followers on TikTok will begin slowing down substantially. And if you're going to want them, you're going to have to pay for them.
Yeah,
it's just that's how the platforms work.
It's already started. I mess around with all the social media because one of my other hobbies is digital marketing. So I've seen the trends and heading in that direction. But as an actor, how important do you find that social presence is impacting your career? Because a lot of actors ask me this a lot of times. What do I need to do to get in front of the right casting directors, the right agents? Do I need to have this social media thing, or is it just a shiny bauble that can help?
Yeah, I think having a virtual presence in all senses of the word. You got to have your email sorted out, have a nice email signature. You got to be able to have good copy. You've got to have a website. You've got to have reels. You got to have photos. You got to have social media. You got to have it all. Your virtual presence needs to be strong because it is your running resume. Right. Casting directors are less interested in looking at simply a headshot and resume. It's good to have, right? And you need it. Obviously, it's a standard, but that's really the bare minimum. But most people are doing now is they go, cool, nice submission, and they go check out your Instagram or whatever virtual platform they get because they want to see what you look like right now, what you do, and that is really important. Plus, they want to see that you do have a following and that you do have some kind of engagement as well on there because that always also works out for them financially because you're free marketing.
Yeah, sort of. It sort of works like that. I think sometimes now, like even the people with the big followings can't necessarily steer their whole audience in the right direction. It's not as easy as it once was, but But that's funny because I think about Clubhouse was the first time I realized that Instagram as an actor, I always knew it was a tool, but my Instagram in particular was not for me because everybody who's on Clubhouse, once you speak, immediately the first thing you do is you go look at their Instagram and you see, oh, wow, this person's really kind of, he's got some social proof. He's got some type of recognition. He's got some type of authority in the space. And you start to listen a little deeper when you hear that person, as opposed to, people who are on TV or published authors or whatever. But yeah, I just noticed that. And I was like, you know what? I should change the game up a little bit.
Yeah, it's definitely necessary. And over this past year, we all know that the virtualization of our industry has kind of gone crazy, right? Like we've had Zoom for years or Skype or really Zoom is a standard now, but we've had all these platforms for so long, but we never really used them in a professional sense the way we're using them now. But we've realized that we can, and people are, and they can do things. They can be more efficient with their casting. You can see more people. Now, I know the film world, indie film world, especially with Actors Access and things like that, they've been doing the virtual submission thing for ages.
Yeah, right? I was living in Atlanta. We did it from 2006 on. Yeah,
that's been around for ages. But the live performance world hasn't really been all that hit with the virtualization thing yet, but it's happening.
It's here. It's here.
It's here. It's here. I think
I
it
one
was
on
all
Monday. I got
I think all
theater
of
audition on Monday.
Yeah, there we go. I think all of Hamilton here in Australia was put together virtually. I mean, they eventually saw people in person, right? But all those first initial levels of screening and casting and narrowing things down of who they really wanted to see live, that all happened virtually.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So, and that's like what the most successful musical in the world or ever, right? So it's like,
yeah, there may or may not be a tape of me auditioning for an open call of Hamilton. Maybe this is a call out to somebody that can find that tape, because I definitely
there we go.
No,
but it's a thing. You got to be on this world, and there are, I think there's still some union issues with, like, if you're an audition, you have to have like an actual physical accompanist in there for union shows and things like this. And I think that my opinion is that the benefit you get from the virtual audition, virtual screening, the unions are going to rewrite the policies, the rules to make it more accessible to you. So that means you have to. So the first interaction you're going to have with casting directors, producers, anybody, it's going to be a virtual introduction.
Right.
And then you're going to get the opportunity to be seen in person. So I think having your virtual stuff in order is paramount.
Yeah, man. It's all coming together. It's all coming together very nicely, man. But all right, let's jump out of the virtual world and tell me about traditionally, how did you train to become an actor, or were you just a natural at this? Because you said you were, a singer in high school.
I think physicality and, I guess, coordination wise, I think that a lot of that came very naturally just because I had a very physical and sports background, and that I think served me a lot, especially when I started dancing a lot. And I really started dancing was the primary thing that I was doing at first, and then singing, and then acting got built into all of that because I started doing musical theater, and then
ballet too. Ballet. That's
So I started there. Well, really, I started with hip hop and breakdancing because it was Montana and dancing was not cool. So I started there.
Let me do this backspin real quick.
I was like, let me just dip my toes into this dance world. So we did that.
Steps. Yeah.
But it didn't take me long. I mean, I was doing it, and then I go, this is fun. And I saw the people in like the jazz and the ballet class. I'm like, you know what? I like that. I like the structure of technique. I like technique and the idea of doing things. So I was like, oh, that looks good. Let me learn how to do that and actually become good and be proper.
I think I saw this movie. It was called Save the Last Dance. It was,
there we go.
Save the Last Dance, or what was the one with Channing Tatum? he was like, you know what? This ain't so bad.
Yeah. So it was good. You know what I mean? And I really enjoyed it. And but yeah, I started doing that, and I really just trained as much as I could. I mean, I was probably dancing from like as soon as school got out. So I was probably at the studio by 3:45, 4 o'clock at the latest. And then I'd dance until like 9:30, 10 at night, like 5 days a week that's it, like every single day. So I trained hard, you know what I mean? I had a lot of learning to do. I started late and did that, and then started doing voice lessons and got into that. And then, like I said, I went to Boston Conservatory because I wanted to do more. I wanted to put it all together. And then I mean, geez, if you were cast in a show at any particular time in that, like it was like every day was like a 14 or 16-hour day of like singing, acting, dancing.
Right. All you did they have a musical theater track like at Boston?
Yeah.
They had one at NYU, like where I was.
They have music theater, music and dance. So and I was in the music theater program, so you kind of do a bit of all of it, right? And then of course, and then they would have main stage productions or black box productions or student productions, things like this that you could audition for and be a part of, and
which so adds another 8 hours to your day.
Exactly right. So I was exhausted, you know what I mean? But that's what I needed to do. And when I showed up there, I was like, whoo, I got some catching up to do. I came from Montana. I was getting good, but then I went to school. I'm like, oh, wait, you've all like going to school with people that have already been on national tours, you know, people that have been on Broadway. And you're like, holy crap. Like, okay, let's get it together and start learning. You know what I mean? But it was great because it pushed me and it made me much better, much faster.
Yeah, and I mean, I always give props to the musical theater actors, and like you having a dance background and singing, like that gives you a leg up. But you're right, some of them are so good, so quick. I mean, like they're coming in as kids and already have that shine on them. You know what I mean? Like
and they've already worked professionally. You know what I mean? They've already been.
Yeah.
I mean, professionally in the sense of at like a Broadway caliber. So.
Oh yeah. No, the Alfonso Ribeiros of the world. You wonder why he was so good at Carlton Banks, because it was a walk in the park compared to the Tap Dance Kid and everything he did.
Yeah, exactly right.
1985 and earlier. You know, like he's been doing it for that long. Think about that. He's probably maybe 50. He's been doing it for 40 at least. So. Yeah, man, that's great. That's great. So, who are your theater legends? Who are your because you're doing more straight plays now more than musicals, right? Or are you still kind of?
Oh, I do. Look, my whole career, I am like the ultimate of saying yes. So my career has been everything. So when I graduated from Boston Conservatory, that's a very Broadway focused school, which is totally cool, right? But it was like Broadway. So I was like, of course I know what Broadway is. Of course I want to be on Broadway. But what I realized is that being on Broadway was never actually my end goal. You know what I mean? It was like, yeah, I would love to work in that market, but that's not my driving force to be doing what I'm doing. I realized that what I really wanted was simply to perform and be an entertainer for a living. I wasn't really keen to sacrifice years of my life not performing, trying to perform in a specific market. Like in Broadway, for instance, like I don't want to be hitting the audition circuit for a decade before I book a Broadway gig, you know, and in the meantime, just bartending or something. So what I want to do is work as a professional. Like while my body's young and can do everything, let's perform, let's work. So, and I found that was really where that was like the driving force and the passion through my career. And that also opened things up. And because that was my mindset, different things would come up. I'd be like, musical theater? Yeah, let's do that gig. Crazy production gig? Cool. Let's go sing with a symphony? Let's go do that. Oh, there's this brand new mascot gig where I get to like be in like a $300,000 costume. Let's do that. Like, so
$300,000?
Yeah, I was like literally inside of a Lamborghini. It felt like it was.
Oh my god!
It was a big rob. It was for Rock in Rio. It was for like this giant music festival out of Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. But all those things, like opportunities would arise. I'd be like, yeah, that sounds cool, because it just pushed me in a different way. Just use my skill set in a different way, and that for me, that's created a more fulfilling career for myself. And I've been able to work consistently in the industry. And that was always my goal. For other people, that's not their goal. But I think it's really important that people figure that out, what it is that you really want.
Hey, that's funny you bring that up. I've got a friend who just recently posted on Facebook. Shout out to Veer. He was on the same track you were at NYU, doing the musical theater, very talented, could sing, could dance, could act. And like was pushing it right after school, going for the Broadway. He said that too. He had Broadway in his sights, and just for whatever reason, he was just going, getting close, getting down to the last two, and then he just wasn't getting it. So something told him to, follow some other dreams. Came out to Los Angeles, where I did a play with him like a couple years ago, and just here recently. He's been having a lot of success on TV, a lot of success in commercials, just kind of put that dream to the side for a second. And he just got his first Broadway show last month. And he'll be amazing. I think he's in New York now, actually. So, yeah, man. So
that's cool.
That's how it goes. We have to navigate this career in a way that we can keep ourselves forward, make it, at least failing forward. You know what I mean?
Yes, exactly. Yeah, I'm all about hard work and making things happen. And if it doesn't happen, try again. But I also am a proponent of, if doors open and opportunities arise, take them, and I don't know, then ideally you get kind of into a flow of a career. And when I think back on my career, it really has been like this. It doesn't feel like that necessarily in the moment, but it's flown from one thing to the next. And I've been very fortunate and grateful that I've been able to have, consistent work for that long. And it's very cool. Yeah.
I think this is kind of your story too, in a way. Broadway will come knocking. You know what I'm saying? If you're still around for it, there's an opportunity for you. You might come whenever. It might come in your 50s, might come in your 40s, might come in your 30s. But like, you're prepared. You got that rock solid foundation, which is what
exactly
I
right. It's not that I'm not 100% pursuing that. I'm pursuing opportunity and pursuing projects that are exciting to me. And and if that's what happens, that's what happens. But I'm not overly forcing anything. I'm not trying to force and make something happen. I'm just trying to have an artistic life and make my lifestyle in the entertainment industry. That's it.
Absolutely, man. Well, you're definitely doing that. Hey, Dane, it's been great, man. You got any other comments? Where can everybody find you and find your podcast?
Yeah, for sure. If you want to come check out anything with me, you can go to DaneReis.com, or just go to Instagram. It's the Dane Reis, at the Dane Reis. Okay. And from there, you can link literally to everything. There's a link in my bio, and there you go.
Perfect, man. Hey, I'm gonna have to come check you guys out at You Booked It podcast. I'd like to do maybe an episode or something sometime.
Yeah, man. Let's do it.
That'd be cool. All right, Dane Reis, thank you so much for joining me. We finally got it done. And this is Frank Faucette, host of the Ignite Your Acting Career podcast. You can follow us online at Ignite Your Acting Career on Instagram. Anywhere you can find podcasts, Apple, Stitcher, SoundCloud. No, we're not on SoundCloud anymore. But, just do a Google search, Ignite Your Acting Career, Frank Faucette, I'll pop up. And once again, we're also on YouTube on my channel, Frank Faucette. So if you want to see the video version of this with Dane in his lovely studio, we didn't even talk about that, man. You can check us out in all our splendor. Okay, so thank you for joining us. We'll see ya.
See ya. Thanks, Frank.